7th graders, this first video is going to be a review video. Right before we left school, we were finishing up with our food chain posters, so we are going to review the different ecological levels of organization. We're going to talk about the relationships within an ecosystem, and we're also going to review food chains. Now, I just want you to know, if you hear some stuff in the background, they are mowing outside of my place right now. So I will try my best to limit that noise in the background. But let's get started on this review. So the first thing that we are going to review is the levels of organization, like the ecological organization. So we have our picture here. This is going from smallest to biggest. We are going to list them and quickly go over what they are again with an example. So our smallest level is an organism. This is any living thing. So an example is a fish. It could also be me. Our next level is a population. This is a group of the same species. So going along with our first example of a fish, this would be like a school of fish or a population of humans living within a city. Next we have a community. This is all the populations, all different species in an area. So for kind of going along this example, that'd be like our fish, the plants that live in that area, the crabs, anything that is living. So if we're going based off the other example of like me, population of humans, this would also be like my cat that lives with me, or dogs in a neighborhood, or all the trees that occupy a neighborhood. An ecosystem is all of the living and non-living things. So remember, I use the terms biotic for living and abiotic for non-living that interact within an area. So going along still, for example, fish, water is not a living thing, plants, rocks, etc. In a neighborhood, that would be like the houses, the cars, the humans in it, and again all the animals and plants, etc. We have a biome. So this is all or many ecosystems that have common characteristics between one another. So this would be like a pond ecosystem. And then we have the biosphere. So this is all of the ecosystems in the entire world. So our biosphere for us is the Earth. So remember, organism down to biosphere, from smallest to largest. Those are our levels. So going on next, we have our relationships in symbiosis review. So first off, we'll just talk about some different types of relationships. So we have predator versus prey. So predator versus prey, this is a form of predation. So predation is when members of one species consumes another species. So in that, we have our predator, which is the one that consumes a species, like a lion. And we have prey, which is the one that is being consumed, maybe like a gazelle. So we have a fish with a bear, so the bear is the predator, the fish is the prey, and then another lion example. And we also have competition as a relationship within an ecosystem. So competition is when animals or organisms are competing for the same resource. So those resources could be food, water, space, mates, etc. There's a lot of different things that organisms can compete for. So we have two different types of competition. The first one is called intra-specific competition, and this is competition within the same species. Then we have interspecific competition. This is competition between two different species. So intra is the same, inter is different. So in class, I know we watched that video of the giraffes competing for a mate, so I'm just kind of doing a little shout out to that video because I like that video a lot. So here's our two giraffes competing. Maybe it's for space, maybe it's for a mate. So that is intra-specific since it's the same species. And we have symbiosis. So symbiosis is a close relationship between two species in which at least one of them benefits. So remember, we have 3 different types of symbiosis. Our first one is mutualism, and that is when both organisms benefit from one another. So that would be like a clownfish and a sea anemone, or it could be like a bee or a flower. We have commensalism, that is when one organism benefits and the other one is unharmed and it's not benefited in any sort of way. So an example of that would be like a cow and a cattle egret. And then our last one is parasitism. This is when one organism benefits and the other one is harmed. So that would be like a tick on our body, or maybe like lice in our hair, or a tapeworm within our body. And then our last thing that we have to review is food chains. And remember, a food chain, it's not like an actual chain. Well, in a way, yes, but not like a metal chain or anything like that. This is a series of who eats whom. So we have our little flower here that is consumed by that mouse. The mouse is consumed by the snake, and then the snake is consumed by the hawk. So we talked about a trophic pyramid, and we're gonna review that here. So here's our pyramid. It has 4 levels. On the very bottom, we have our producers. Remember, producers produce their own food from the sun through the process of photosynthesis. So these would be our plants. Our next level is our primary consumers. Our primary consumers, they are herbivores. They eat only plants, which is why their level is right above the producer level. So this could be like a caterpillar or a rabbit, maybe a deer. If you want to think about it human-wise, it'd be like a vegan. We have secondary consumers. Secondary consumers are omnivores. They eat both plants and animals. And some examples of these would be like ourselves, bears, a lot of different things. And then our last level on our pyramid is our tertiary consumers. So our tertiary consumers are carnivores. And I'm sorry, that says eat only plants. It should say they eat only animals. Carnivores eat only animals. I'm going to actually go ahead and change that. Animals. There we go. Excuse my little slip up. I'm still trying to figure things out here on my own too. So, tertiary consumers eat only animals. And that's it for our trophic pyramid. There is a couple of things that I want you to do after this, whether you want to do it all in one day or if you want to stagger it out, kind of like in that suggested schedule I gave you. But definitely do the Kahoot challenge over this material. That's to help you review further. And then I'm going to be putting up another video that's called Populations and Growth Patterns. It's going to be talking about a new subject that we did not get to yet at school. And when you are done with that, I am going to have you fill out a Google form over it just to see if you are retaining the information during that video. So if you have any questions, definitely reach out to me. We can either talk about it during our Google Hangouts on Thursday, I believe, of next week, or you can shoot me an email. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Bye!